Hello, hi, and welcome to DM&D here on the Temple Tanker Tavern. I am Jim, aka Argent Wind, and we are here with Nans. Um, are we
Hi
all
guys.
working right here? Look good. Still waiting for everything to catch up there on YouTube, but uh, we are here continuing our series on classes, a class act. And this week we are jumping right into the Masters of Faith, the Cleric. Um, Now, I'm going to put this out here as I have I have very seldom played clerics. I've run a lot of bad guys who are clerics. In fact, the main bad guy in my last campaign was a 20th level cleric. So there you go. Um, but Nans, how about you? You're a big fan of clerics, aren't you?
Oh, love clerics so much. They're my
Yeah.
second favorite class of all the classes that we have for D&D. Even in Pathfinder, I am finding that I like the cleric in that as well because it's not your typical you have to be the healer in Pathfinder. You
Mhm.
can do so much else,
Yeah.
not just one
Yeah.
thing or the other.
And that is one thing. Clerics often get pigeonholed into that healer role. And um, before I get too much farther, I do want to in these class act things here. I do want to do a big shout out to one of my favorite guides to the classes on YouTube. And if you check out the channel, Joe Cat. Jocat. He's got the crap guides to D&D, and he's got one for each class, and they're great. They're about 2.5 to 3 minutes long. Really hilarious there. But he brings up a really good point about clerics, and it's very, very similar to what we talked about last week with bards in that clerics are so versatile. You have clerics that can be fighters, you have clerics that can be healers, you can have clerics that can be mages, you can even have clerics that can be rogues or druids, especially the trickery domain and the nature domain. You can even have clerics that have skill monkeys like bards in the knowledge domain. So there are so many different ways to go with the cleric that they can fill almost any role you need in the party. Now, are they going to be as powerful a fighter as a fighter? But no, but they're going to have a lot of the spells to back them up as well. So while you can't do all the crazy things a fighter could do, you're doing all the things a cleric can do on top of being able to hit really hard. So um, it's a really great way to go with clerics that you have these such a versatile thing. Joe Cat puts it out there. The idea that you could do a campaign where everybody plays some form of cleric, and nothing would be able to stop them. They can all heal each other. They can all buff each other. They can all do their various things. He called them the Amen.
It's a very, very good name. I do approve of that name.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Um, so yeah, it's one of the clerics. I mean, they shine in obviously a healing role. They have the healing spells built into their class. But then you have the life domain cleric, which is designed to be a healer, and one of the best healers in the game.
Mm,
Um,
I would
so
argue that one though, Jim. I kind of like the Twilight Cleric for the best healer in the game, especially if you mix it with a Furbog.
Of course, there are exactly. So when you get into there are so many domains, and just looking at the main domains that you can get into there, just from the published materials. I'm not even going into the third party publishing materials. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 different domains in the published materials. Um, and while you have like your light and tempest domains are basically wizards. They throw around fire and lightning respectively. Your trickery domain has all the illusion type spells you want to throw around. Your nature spells have all the druidic type spells you want to throw around. Um, there's just some great synergy things. You even have the Arcana domain, which is actually pulling even more from the wizard spell list. Um, so there's so many different ways to go with a cleric there. You're not focused into one role, but they have some things that shine. Um, the obviously the crowd control aspect of command at first level, sit down, drop your weapon, run away, whatever. You basically can force someone to do your bidding. You got the hold person there. Yes, it's on other spell lists, but the clerics get it. Um, and I mean, it's one of the things. The idea of a cleric can be some battlefield control with just a couple of spells, suggestions on their lists, I believe. Um, Especially for certain domains of clerics. Um, so you've got just a lot of different ways to go. And yeah, if you want to be just a beefy fighter type there, the forge domain and the war domain are good at hitting things hard. Um, they can use heavier armor, um, and they can basically be kind of tanky as well because of their armor class. Um, Obviously, clerics, their spells are based on wisdom, so you want to have a high wisdom. Other than that, I mean, having a high charisma because clerics do have a lot of concentration type spells. So in the D&D setting, there, having that higher charisma, higher constitution, I mean, to be able to ignore be able to pass those concentration checks when you do take damage, is a really helpful thing to have.
It is. I like some of their spells that make them unique to them. Um, every cleric can have pick up this one. It's a life transference, and it is one of those crazy spells where you know your front fighter is about to go down, and you have no other choice. You take the damage, but then the person is about to get hit with that spell, your own player. It gets double the healing of whatever that roll is. And a lot of people look at it like, it's not the best spell to be using because you're getting hit. Well, if you have a high constitution, you're going to have a lot of hit points.
Yeah,
You got hit points
and
to play with, and you're not supposed to be getting hit in the first place if you're the Healy type cleric, as I put in
sure,
quotations, right?
yeah,
So,
sure.
yeah, it they're so versatile.
They
So much
are,
fun.
and um, a cleric I will play one day. I do have this character. It was actually my backup character for Nance's campaign that just ended recently here. If my character had ever died, which was not going to happen, I know,
Mm-mm,
but
mm-mm.
um, if he had that, I had an order cleric up and ready to go because order clerics have some fun things they can do. They don't necessarily have battlefield control, but they have party control. The idea of an order cleric is, oh, I'm here. I'm going to go ahead and cast a healing word on you because I cast a spell on you. You can now use your reaction to take an action, like hit someone or sneak attack someone, or um, you can do a lot or move. You can kind of help people move around the battlefield. It's actually based off of a fun little concept from Gabe Greenspan, great creator on TikTok and other places. Um, he does these busted D&D character builds, and he had the order cleric was known as the chess master. You know, to move pieces around on the board and everything else, and being able to help his party get into position and do actions off on his turn. Um, that really help kind of help control the flow of the battle. Very fun type person type cleric to play. Um, so someday I will play that character, I think, but we'll see. Um, uh, so what's been your favorite cleric to play since you said it was your second favorite class?
Uh-huh. I do like, so I've had two. I'm
Mhm.
very torn between the two because they are two totally different type. of clerics. The first one is the Twilight Cleric because they just have a lot of you can do the thing now because oh you're afraid because the boss gave you frightened and now you're afraid and you have to run away from the boss. Well, on your action entering inside my little bubble, you are now no longer afraid. Go back into the fight. That is such a great class, the Twilight Cleric. And then, they get Moonbeam, and we all love Moonbeam.
Movie. Yep.
Yeah. And then,
Yes. One of our favorite druid spells. Yes.
yes. And I've just recently discovered, and I've been playing around with it for the last couple of months now, the Portal Cleric.
Hmm.
They just have so many, oh, just because I hit you and missed does not mean the guy over there isn't going to get hit because that's how this action works. Like I hit you, I missed you, but I open a portal over there 30 feet away and hit the guy over there with the same mace, and it doesn't require me to actually hit anything. They just take whatever it is that I
Yep.
give them. I do love it, and the ability with the portal cleric to maneuver my own friends around, like again, like
Yeah.
the
It's some of the
spell.
order cleric. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
with the spell, it's like, um, your upfront fighter is dying, and all of us want to do the same thing, is keep our upfront fighter alive.
Yeah.
With a portal cleric, I can say, how about you come right next to me because we're portal bonded now, and
Hmm.
and that upfront fighter can be 5 feet from you, and healing word, which is a casting spell that you can cast far away, but like healing touch, mass healing touch, whatever type of here,
Sure.
take this potion that's got, the best potion in the entire game. Get all your healing
Hmm.
points back and then just run back in there. They
Hmm.
also have another one where the spell where you can open a portal next to them and reach through the portal to touch somebody. So now your touch spells no longer matter. You've got 30 feet with your portal
Sure.
to touch
Yeah.
somebody. I am very
It's
much
awesome.
enjoying that class.
And just so you're aware, the Portal Cleric is actually in the Tome of Heroes,
Yes.
a third-party source out there. And there's a lot of great third-party sources with a lot more domains to go through. I'm looking at a list right now. Eberron, also published in there, also has the Mind domain, the Doom domain from Deep Magic, um, the Darkness or is it Shadow domain, Darkness domain.
It's a darkness domain.
Um,
I believe later on there's also a shadow domain. Um,
Yes. So, the Mercy domain, Tome of Heroes.
mm.
There's a ton of domains. The Speed domain in Deep Magic. Um, so there are thing is so one thing about clerics, they probably have between the main book, the official published materials and the third parties. There's probably more subclasses for clerics than any other thing in the game. You can find something for anyone and any role or play style you want to play. The
Right.
clerics got it. Now I want to jump into some like we're going to talk about some ways to spice up your clerics. But also, we've always been trying to figure out ways of clerics in pop culture, clerics in real life. And this is kind of cheating right here because Nans is one of our favorite clerics out there, Jester
I'm
from
the
Critical
cleric.
Role. Yes, um, but I mean, obviously she's a cleric because she plays a cleric in the
Correct.
game there. But more in pop culture there. Um, the clerics are often in a form of support role. They're often in a party support, a party elevation, a party inspiration. Um, they can obviously the healing magics, the buffing magics, the area effect things they can do, and everything else are really awesome for clerics. Um, so it's sometimes hard to find clerics outside of a D&D setting out in pop culture. But I have a couple. Um, and one he's not really a cleric, but he really is in that shepherd book from Firefly. He supports the whole team. He has a background as a soldier, and he can be sort of a war cleric in some ways, as he showed throughout the series there.
hmm
But more often than not, his role is to support the rest of the team, to act as a counselor in a way. So clerics have a high wisdom. So they have that sort of fatherly or motherly or inspiration type aspect to them, depending on what kind of clerics you play. So that's it's one of those ones. It's a bit of a stretch, but it makes sense when you think about his role in the cast and his role in the group of people. Um, he was the support person. He was the one to kind of be the person to talk to. Um, and yes, did help inspire them and did help give them that pep talk and get them in there, casting that heroism kind of thing, or obviously helping with first aid and healing kind of thing, like having that little bit of healing stuff there. He wasn't the doctor, but he was able to do some of that too. Shepherd Book is a fun one there. Have you thought of any specifically? Because I've got another one that's going to be kind of a weird one, I know.
So I do have one, but keep in mind, I'm not a Trekkie. I'm more of a Star Wars fan. But
Sure, sure,
the Doctor from Deep Space Nine,
sure. Actually, yes.
nine,
Actually,
nine.
most of Deep Space Nine, yeah, yeah,
Am I the one with the red head?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, well, you also have from, I mean, if we go to Voyager, you have the emergency medical hologram doctor.
Listen, I
Pretty much,
only watch Deep Space Nine because Dad put it on TV. I'm
gotcha.
not a
I
Trekkie.
mean, most doctor type roles are going to be in that similar kind of thing like this. They're going to have ways of healing people, ways of getting them back into the fight, ways of helping them when they get hurt badly. Because even though a cleric isn't necessarily has to be a healer, they all have the spells access to the spells to do that. And since clerics can
Mhm.
re-rack their spells every day, they can say, okay,
Yep.
I'm going to rest, come back in, and now I've got all the spells I need to heal you up because you're injured or whatever. So,
Right.
um, yeah, so any doctor type person out there oftentimes can be a cleric here. Now I've got one, and everyone's going, no, 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 no. Yeah, Thor. Thor is a Tempest cleric.
He sure enough is.
Because when you think about it, Thor is not out there always just swinging his hammer into things. Yes, he can swing his hammer, and he does very, very powerfully. But you'll notice he delivers a one big hit. Clerics only you typically, unless they're a war cleric, only get one attack per round. But that one hit is flashing lightning out everywhere and just smashing whatever it hits. Tempest clerics can deliver a huge amount of lightning in one big burst, and just do max damage to everything here. So, while you could say that maybe Thor has some fighter levels thrown in there as well, he's definitely, I'm going to say, a Tempest cleric. Now, some people are going to say, "Well, Thor is a god. He's people like he going to give no." Marvel gods are not gods. They are not having people pray to them, not giving power out there, but they do have major otherworldly power. Um, for that matter, I would say Loki is also a trickster cleric, at least on some level, because come on, the dude is all about illusions and misdirection, and and so much of a trickster type of domain anyway. Um, definitely those kind of pulling those guys in there. But yeah, as you mentioned, like any doctor, any healer type person, I would even go so far to say that if you want to jump into Star Wars a little bit, some of the Jedi can be very much like a clerical type person here because they are drawing on centering their power and delivering those strikes and everything else that um, really thinking about how they have a spiritual weapon in their hand doing radiant damage.
I love spiritual
I
weapons.
mean, exactly. And a lot of times they can throw that thing out there and hit things at range and it comes right back to them and they can redirect it around. So
Mm-hmm.
um and there's obviously some other abilities in there too, but I mean they have sort of a divine aspect to them. They're drawing on an otherworldly power to then fuel their abilities and affect the battlefield around them in various ways. Um, I mean, imagine that. Uh, um, I mean, just the good old. Oh my gosh, inflict wounds being a
Oh,
ranged version of force choke. Like you're just
yep.
literally choking somebody out at range,
Mm-hmm.
um, and all you need to do is take spell sniper, and you can do that at 30 feet, and you're just like choking somebody across the room, and just taking the life out of them. So really, when you're down to it, there a lot of those kind of anytime you have those characters who are drawing on some otherworldly power and making it their own to affect the world around them, and a lot of times, especially ones that can actually buff their allies and inspire their allies, that's a lot of times very much very similar role to a cleric. Um, so let's get into so it does kind of lead us into a big discussion here of deity versus domain.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of concepts of a cleric is you have to worship a deity, and that deity grants you power, and that power you can then put out in the world there. You pray to your god to get your power. Um, and yet, really, you also have the concept of a domain cleric. I don't worship a deity. I draw on the power of the domain that I'm focused with. I am drawn on the power of war or storms or life or nature. And I'm not necessarily worshiping a deity or maybe not even a single deity or more of an amorphous concept of a deity. That domain, I am pulling that energy in and using it to fuel my spells. Um, you can absolutely have a devotee to a deity,
Mm-hmm.
but even then, it's important to remember that deities are people and they have personalities that aren't just one facet. So many times deities have multiple domains that apply to them. Um, a benevolent nature god may have the life and nature domain. So clerics of them could do either one and do the type of things that a deity that a priest of that deity would do. Um,
I
what are
remember
some
when
other
I
ones?
I built my
Yeah.
very first paladin. Now we'll get to that
Mhm,
later, but we were talking about domains versus deities, and then they were like, "Well, pick the one that works best for your personality." I was like, "Okay,
mhm.
well, because that's how you're going to play your very first character, so based off of your personality." I landed on
Until you
Bahamut,
figure,
but
until you figure out what your other personalities are. Yeah, of
right,
course.
yeah, right, because chaos is just chaos. But like,
Mhm,
yeah, I landed on Bahamut, and Bahamut has more than just one facet,
mhm.
right? So he can be chaotic and he can be good, and he does more good than he does chaos. But like, in order to combat some things, he may need to do other things. So I was looking at it, and for my paladin, I went, why couldn't a cleric also be a follower of Bahamut?
Absolutely.
And when I built my first cleric, that's who my deity was because again, I was just learning. I was still trying to figure out how D&D worked, and I knew what Bahamut was all about at that point, and it worked very lovely. But then I discovered through reading the book, the D&D book actually has on there the name of the deity, what domain they actually follow, and then what they look like and everything else on your symbols. It just read your books, guys. Read your
Yeah.
books.
Yeah.
Or find the internet that has it on there as well
Yeah.
because it'll be there. And then you don't have to say, "Oh, I prayed to this deity or whatever," and then expect something to happen.
Which I'm curious, which domain did you take for your cleric of Bahamut?
My cleric of Bahamut went life.
Life? Okay. What's
Mm-hmm.
interesting is so Bahamut. Interesting is the gods of light in Avarice, the temple there worshipped three deities, Bahamut being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of not very many followers of Bahamut in the big human centric city,
Right.
but it was there. But then also Foltus
Mm-hmm.
and Palor,
Mm-hmm.
and Palor is the god of the sun. Foltus is the god of light.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all three deities, I said, yes, are healing type deities, and life domain makes sense, but they also use the light domain, which is heat
Mm-hmm.
and brilliance and radiance. So again, I for me, when you get right down to it, even if you have a book that says this god is this, you can definitely have alternative versions. You could have a war cleric who worships Bahamut because he is the holy warrior. I am going to
Mm-hmm.
divine channel the divine power of this being of goodness and light into my strikes, and I'm going to beat things up with it. There's no reason you can't do that. Obviously, it lends itself to various things. The knowledge domain is typically associated with Ayun or any
Right.
god that reveres secrets, oftentimes. Um, but like a death domain, the idea of a death domain cult is like a god, like worshiping Nero, the god of murder. Death works, grave works, twilight works in some ways too. Um, and there's different ways to play this. I want to take you on a journey of two clerics of the evil god Nero. One is the domineering, I truck with demons and I try to dominate everyone around me because I can commit mass murder and just put everything under darkness, all in the name of Nero. Um, I don't like I don't necessarily like undead all that much, but I will use them and I will make use of them if I need to. But my whole thing is to drown the world in death and kill it all.
Hmm.
That's one. The other, the sly assassin who basically wants to make sure that everything dies by their hand in the name of Nero. And so that megalomaniacal cleric there may take some wizard levels and necromancy spells to fuel even more of their stuff to do what they want to do. That assassin obviously can take rogue, be able to sneak through the shadows and deliver that
Hmm.
divine retribution of dark murder that there. So you have two different clerics of the same deity, and you can say that okay, that rogue assassin type could take trickery domain,
Hmm.
still be a cleric of Nero. Then you have the megalomaniacal just kill everything there, taking the death domain. So, or even the grave domain. So there's just a great way that it could even, if they want to basically command everything, taking the knowledge domain. And I want to know everything and be know all that there is. So there's no reason why, even if you have a deity that says this is the deity of this, there are a lot of ways to go about doing that. So it's a fun little way to try to twist what role you want to fill based on the deity that you worship. Or you could just be someone who doesn't outright worship a deity at all. And
Hmm.
I'm just going to embody this. I am the embodiment of the storm. I worship the storm, not a god. I don't care about which god's up there. It's all, I mean, it could be Thor, it could be Zeus, it could be Shango, it could be, you name it. There's all kinds of storm gods out there, but just to worship the storm and that power and to channel that into the type of magic they do, they all are viable as characters. They all are very interesting.
Hmm.
And I'd say go for it.
I
So
had a player who told me they were playing a cleric and they did not know who their deity was. And I had to question and go, don't know because the person doesn't know like deities because there's a million of them, or
yeah.
does the character not know who their deity is?
Mhm.
It was the character. Character
Sure.
grew up in one family believing this deity, and when they went out into the real world, just did not, it wasn't what she thought it was. And she created in her mind her own deity. Now, me as a background DM, I looked into some deities that would match what she was trying to do, and I found
Sure.
one for her. But like to the very end of the campaign, she still did not know who her deity was. And she was just pulling from whatever strength she thought she had. And
Mhm.
it worked out really well because, I didn't have to go, hey, Mistra, come down here and do the thing. It was just
Sure.
a random thing happened. You got good and lucky with the fates.
Yep. Yep. Um, in one of my campaign settings that I've run in the past and I'm going to run again at some point here, the idea of the gods being absent, the gods not being able to answer the prayers and be a direct presence there.
Hmm.
That doesn't mean there isn't still divine energy. There isn't there's still divine magic around. It's not being focused by a god or channeled by a god. It's still there. And the person that can tap into it do can still be a cleric.
Hmm.
Again, so you're not forcing that. Another fun one to be is that uh I just thought of this here. The idea of them making up their own god. Obviously,
Hmm.
right behind you there, Jester kind of made up her own god, and the person wasn't even a god. She really was more of a warlock than she was a cleric, but the way her magic manifested was more clerical thing here. The interesting comes down to is there's one argument that people have is what about divine inspiration? No, intervention.
Interesting. Yeah.
That requires a deity to step down. No, it doesn't.
Nope.
If
Mm-mm.
you are a powerful practitioner of storm magic and you want to do something, if you can draw on that power and focus hard enough, you can make something happen. The idea is that it isn't some outside force that stuff comes in and says this happens. Now you might have to work with your player in terms of like what things they could do with divine inspiration or divine intervention, but
Right.
the idea is that it's divine power manifesting in some way to the will of the cleric. Now, if it's beseeching a god to do the thing you want, or trying to draw enough power to create the thing you want, it's both the same effect in the end. So the idea that you have to have a god to do this, no.
Nope.
I say no. Now, again, that's me. You as a DM may choose to have gods being more involved, and that may be how you interpret things in your campaign. And there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, it's your game, it's your campaign, but make sure you that the players that are playing their characters understand this, or that there's some way that you can make this work because you don't want to just pull the rug out from under them saying, "Hey, no, you have a deity and this is how it works." Well, I mean, then maybe they want to play something else at that point. Um, but again, it's your game. You decide how you want to do it there, and there isn't any wrong way to do it. Um, a something that came up in sort of in a chat otherwise here, the idea of maybe losing your power because you pissed off your god or
Hmm.
didn't follow the tenets of your god or else of that can be an interesting plot point, but nobody likes having their character not be able to do things, especially for long term. Now, a short term thing where you have to do something to get it back, and it's not going to be something you drag out forever. That can be an interesting plot point within the campaign. But the idea that you have to kind of like always do this because the god says, and it's like, well, I mean,
I
that
mean,
again, yeah.
we
What are
we
your, what are
we
your, what are your
talked about when we were building characters, um, about how paladins had to follow all of their tenets right to their letter, right? Because,
Mhm.
otherwise this, and this. Well, the same thing with clerics. Some of them have tenets that they're supposed to follow, but here's the thing. What's really going to happen if they choose to go, okay, well, the party is semi-chaotic, and sometimes we have to do bad things to bad people to get good outcomes, right? Now,
Sure,
that is going to obviously break a tenet, but like if your player doesn't have a deity, you get to, as the DM, make up some fun thing for that person to now have to realize that, sometimes bad things to bad people also equals bad things.
sure,
Have
yeah,
fun with it. Don't just be
yeah.
like, you have to have the deity. You
Well,
don't.
and try not to just like outright punish a player for like understand you're putting the scenario in front of the players that
Mm-hmm.
they have to resolve. And if you then punish them for the way they resolve it, that's now obviously you go on a mass murder spree in a town because oh my god says I should do this, you're going to pay the consequences, especially if you're like a
100%.
I'm a life cleric who's suddenly killing everything I see. That's going to be a bit of a problem here. And so that's something you may want to be pulling the person aside saying, hey, based on these actions now, you're not really acting as a life cleric. You might be shifting more over into a grave domain cleric there, and you
Mm-hmm.
can do this. So there can be a plot reason to kind of make a shift of some kind there. And it may be that their domain, they're not enjoying their domain, don't like their class abilities, they want to shift to something else. Sure, find a way to do that in the story. Find a way to do that that the player is going to be a part of, and you don't just do it to them. Nobody likes to just be handed the same thing. Do this. This is who you are now. You're just here. Like that can feel bad, especially in a long term setting. Now it can be a temporary thing. Sure, um, obviously, consequences for actions are important for those characters that have um, like some sort of a tenet of some kind. If you're we're jumping way ahead here to warlock. If you don't follow the tenets of your patron, and go against
Mhm.
what your patron would want, you're going to lose your powers. They're the ones giving you the powers in the first place. Clerics are somewhat similar, paladins are somewhat similar, but the idea that you're drawing your power from somewhere else, and if you do things that kind of break that bond, there's going to be
Yep.
consequences.
Yep.
So, and how you deal with those consequences is part of the story. Um, and so it's an interesting way to go. But try not to like make a long term punishing thing that makes it not fun for the person anymore. Find a way to kind of work through that in some way. Um, but um, clerics, as I said, they can fill any role. But clerics also benefit a lot from like mixing in a bit of another class. Obviously, a war domain cleric with taking some fighter levels to get that action surge and do even more and get more fighter like. Very, very cool way to go. Um, especially if you're not trying to get up to those high level, like crazy cleric magics there. You're not planning to do true resurrection. You're not trying to do flame strike. You want to do all your cool clerical abilities you've got here and kind of go from there. So dipping into another class like a fighter is not a bad way to go. Dipping a nature domain cleric into ranger for a bit makes a lot of sense, or druid even, mixing and matching there. A trickery domain cleric with a rogue, obviously.
Do you, my
um,
life cleric. You ready for this
mhm,
one?
sure.
Monk.
Oh yeah.
I
I
took
mean,
Monk with
because
my life domain cleric,
monk
and my
clerics.
DM hated it so much.
Oh my god! I'm just gonna say, you want to go crazy with the healing? Be a mercy monk, a
Oh,
hand
I
of
yes,
mercy monk,
a
life
hint of
cleric.
that hadn't come
You're
out
you're
yet,
you're
but
you're
yes.
you're punching the life back into people there, and adding your wisdom modifier to the whole thing too. Like, oh yeah, and again, wisdom modifier being both monk and cleric.
Mm,
Oh yeah, great,
yeah,
great
it
way to go.
was.
Martial monks, like martial art monks, martial art clerics,
Uh-huh.
very very fun.
I
Absolutely.
had a
Um.
blast. It was such a great. I
Oh,
was like, do these
great.
match? I didn't understand how a monk would
Mhm.
mash with a cleric. 'Cause at the time, the mercy clerics or the mercy monks weren't a thing yet.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
was like, well, how does this work? And I'm obviously going to be doing all the fighty stuff with my hands and feet. I don't want a weapon any longer.
Mhm.
I think I went 3 levels in cleric, and then all the rest of it was monk.
Sure.
And it was the funnest character I had ever had. And I took healer as a feat.
Nice.
Yes, it
Nice.
was so much fun.
I
Punching the face out
I'm
of a beholder. And
I'm oh my god, that's so great. Oh, I love it.
I
I mean,
I
I
heal
will
you
say,
to kill you.
you want something really, really gross? Take
Obviously.
a take a rogue cleric
Uh-huh.
who can give himself advantage with guiding bolt
Mhm. Mhm.
on a held action, so they can immediately turn around and sneak attack with the advantage on the round. So I'm gonna hide as my bonus action, or I'm gonna run over here, hide as my bonus action. Okay, and then as my action, I'm going to wait until the person moves, so I can wait. I'll guiding bolt them, and then when initiative comes up there, I jump out and stab them with advantage, sneak attack, and then bonus action run away. Actually, move action, run away, bonus action, hide again. Like you
Never
are
gonna
just the
find it.
biggest pain in the butt cleric you can imagine. Um, and you want to even more fun, go ahead and be hidden, like bonus action, run up to somebody, hide, or bonus action, run up to someone, cast your spirit guardians, and then hide. They're taking damage. They
Oh,
don't know you're there. They don't know
Spirit
what's hitting them.
Guardians. I love that
And
spell.
And the fun thing is, I would even allow this, you could then sneak attack with your spiritual weapon because they don't know where you are or where it's coming from.
That's a
Um,
little much, don't you think? Or
oh, I
no?
agree. Or the fun thing is, remember, spiritual weapon attack is a bonus action. You could then, especially if you're a trickster domain cleric and you have improved invisibility, which you will get on that list there,
Hmm.
you go ahead and do the fun thing of like, I'm going to guiding bolt and then sneak attack, guiding bolt, sneak attack, guiding bolt, sneak attack, over and over and over again. Um, yeah, there's just fun ways to go there, and I mean, obviously, think mixing Tempest Domain with Storm Sorcery, great way to go. You're adding in even more lightning fun. Um, I've seen the builds. I've seen the build in action with the Life Domain Shepherd Druid that can just do crazy amounts of healing, or Life Domain Star Druid.
That's just
I mean,
disgusting.
it's just so much healing. It's ridiculous. Um, but
Reminds me of the
really,
tree from World of Warcraft.
yeah, pretty much. Yep. Yeah, pretty much. Um, and I will say, this is going to dip into wizard later on here, but the order domain cleric I had enough levels of um, conjuration wizard to be able to do fun things like arcane transference, arcane transposition, where you jump around, move yourself around the battlefield, bonus action of Misty Step, and then order domain abilities. It's just okay, it's just crazy. Character you can never pin down. It just helps everybody do everything on the battlefield. It's really fun. Um, so um, but yeah, there's just so many different ways to go with a cleric and so many different ways of flavoring a cleric that um, I think again the idea of the amen, the whole party of clerics, especially you want to dip into a couple having them all be masters of their faith and masters of their domains. Um, and you turn it almost like a Justice League kind of thing where you're basically all these great, powerful embodiments of an ideal. Um, it makes for a very fun party to run around with, I think. Um, so, what else we got there? Anything else on clerics we want to throw out there?
No, just play with them.
Yeah,
A lot of
it.
people think that you have to be the cleric, but you don't. You can do so much with it and heal on top of it.
Yeah.
So, like, just if you want to be that upfront fighter, but you want to be able to heal your friends while you're up there fighting with them, pick a cleric. And literally, you can pick any domain at that point because upfront fighter, any domain, they have, if you, depending on where you put your stats and how you roll for your stats, they have the wisdom to back it up. You could throw constitution in it, and then your strength right after that. Those are
Hmm.
top three for most clerics. They don't
Hmm.
really too much about dexterity because they've got ways. They
Yeah.
don't need to
All
move.
Well, all clerics can use medium armor, and most clerics can also use heavy armor,
Hmm.
and they can all use shields. So
Yep.
you're up there, you're pretty tanky, especially you get some magic armor there. And the idea that being up there shoulder to shoulder with the fighter, um, I would love to see, and I've actually is having the cleric have sentinel.
That would be gross. I never even thought about
Yes.
putting Sentinel on the.
Because now you're helping your fighter buddy out. You're helping you basically jumping in there and doing those interruptions I've been that there. Now you can not only heal the person, you can take the damage for them or step in and block things or anything else that too. I mean, just the idea of taking a cleric with sentinel. I'm like, why hasn't anyone done this? You
Do
could be a
you
frontline fighter, and now you're you're right up there being a pain in the butt, helping that fighter out there being even better at what they do.
we just discovered the peace domain cleric while we were thumbing through
Yes.
the Roll 20, right? Can
Mhm.
you imagine that build with Sentinel?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
give them what is the other one that most DMs, so like if you take Sentinel, you can't also have this one, Polearm Master.
Yeah. I mean, you could. It's not fair. I want to see here. Does the peace domain? They do not get heavy armor proficiency, so I mean, they're not going to be as tanky as they're. But hell, you want to go real crazy? Go peace domain with a low dex, low strength, but a high dex, a dex based cleric with a good shield, and like suddenly you're just like, oh yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So, um, and you never again so many times those domain features when you start seeing them. I mean, the idea of having someone who's got a high speed, your speedster there. The peace domain, my favorite thing here is their channel divinity, um their bomb of peace, as an action you move up to your speed without provoking opportunity attacks. When you move within 5 feet of any creature during this action, you can restore a number of hit points equal to 2d6 plus your wisdom modifier. So every person you pass can be healed 2d6 plus your wisdom modifier. So you have someone who's got long strider and who may be a rogue with who can dash as a bonus action. You activate Peace Ball,
Mhm.
Balm of Peace, and heal your entire party for 2d6 plus 5 by running around them and just passing by them. Pretty darn fun. Yeah. So
Yeah.
again, and the idea that you can do and the other class, you can read through those other things there, but yeah, read through the domains abilities. There's some great ones in there, being able to do some really fun stuff. And just keep in mind that uh, they are oftentimes clerics oftentimes are not a standalone. They're not going to sit there and do everything by themselves. They shine when they are surrounded by their party, when they are supporting their party, when they're keeping them in the fight, when they're doing they're crowd controlling the bad guys, when they're adding in all of that mix of support, buff, healing, and even damage. They can be a real pain and a hugely valuable asset to a party. So yeah, give it a try. Um, I definitely want to play a cleric someday, but but we'll have to see. I have my chess master ready to go. I may have to tweak him a bit there to kind of play around with some more there, but yeah, definitely um, check him out and have fun with them. Um, anything else on this one here, or I'll wrap
Uh,
things up?
yeah. Don't forget to customize your cleric. And I don't mean like picking other spells or picking different domains or even sub multi-classing into other things. Think about what gear you want on your cleric.
Hmm.
What is the most important thing for your cleric to have? Now, for me, the ability to not die is always the thing that I need. So finding that amulet that just says, nope, you get back up with X amount of hit points and you go right back to it.
Yep.
That for me, for a cleric, that is exactly what I needed. And there's healing maces out there or healing swords. You can
Yep.
flavor however your healing stuff goes. It just boosts your healing abilities. It doesn't
Mhm.
just have to be healing because remember, clerics aren't just healers. They are so much more. If you're thinking about going that Tempest cleric, go find those boots of speed or fly or whatever it is, the lightning boots that are great. Get those on. I had a player play with those, and he got the whole costume, and he ended up looking like Thor at the end. But he
Nice.
had fun, and for me, if he's having fun, I'm having fun.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, and check out those. I do want to check out that speed domain. I want to see if I'm going to make a flash cleric there and see what I can do. It'd be kind of fun to see what that looks like. Um, but yeah, again, the clerics they have sort of I kind of see clerics are kind of more than almost any class. They're kind of the superheroes of the party. They have that sort of that focused ideal of what they are, that domain. You can almost see the nature cleric all dressed in green with a flowering with a tree branch staff with vines wrapped around it. Was that knowledge cleric being the bookish one with the glasses and holding a large book as his holy symbol.
Hmm.
I mean, they have just an iconic look to them, and their domain plays right into that. Your death domain cleric looking like a lich or some sort of necromancer kind of person, the dark cloak hunched over with the bone staff or something like that. I mean, you just lend yourself to that sort of like costume aspect of who you are. Um, obviously, you don't have to do that, but it's a fun way to go if you want to play that superhero kind of character. So make the Amen, make the Justice League, make the make the
Make all
Avengers. I mean,
make all
yeah,
the
yeah.
doctors, all the
I
doctors.
mean, Captain America as a war cleric. I mean, come on.
He totally could be.
Iron Man is the Forge cleric. I mean, like, or a light cleric with his repulsor beams like that. So, I mean, there's so many fun ways to go with them. So just get in there and have fun with them. Absolutely. And let us know what your favorite domain is. If you have a favorite domain, those of you watching in the comment in the future in the comments there, What's your favorite domain that you played, or your favorite style of cleric you played? Maybe your favorite multi-class. There's all kinds of fun ones out there. So, love to hear what some of your favorite builds are, some of your favorite character types are, and everything. So, I think we'll start to wrap things up there. Next week, I think it's Druid next week, right? And
It
jumping from
is.
one divine to the other one, so
It
into the
is.
D's there. So we'll be the we'll be into the Druids there, and
They
Druids are a
are.
tricky one. They're really tricky. And I think we'll get into Druids a lot here, but it's one of those ones where everyone thinks Druids are one thing, and they can be so much more. And we'll kind of get they aren't just Circle the Moon. like
Although
just
that
put it
is
out
my
there.
favorite.
Circle the Moon is great. I will say I love Circle the Moon. I played a Circle the Moon druid there. I
Mhm,
loved him. He was awesome there. But we'll get into that next time,
mhm.
and talk about different druids that we have out there. Um, but hope you obviously we didn't have anyone in the chat here today. Um, but obviously, if you're watching in the future here, leave us some comments there. Throw us get some ideas for your druid type things in the future as we come back in a couple weeks to do that show. Um, and hopefully you enjoy this. If you do, give us a like there. Tell people about the channel. Get some more folks here watching, and if you can watch live and throw some comments in with us, love to have you on board here with us. Um, and don't forget the Tumble Tankard is always looking for GMs and players. We are trying to always trying to add more things to the roster, and more folks out there. So jump on into the Tumble Tankard and start playing some games with us too. Um, anyway, have fun, have some great games, enjoy your clerics and your other folks here. Um, but hope to see you all again soon here. As always, thanks for stopping by the Tankard. Come back again, drink, we'll get you a drink, get you a game, and have some fun. Take care, everybody.
Bye, guys.